everyone. Welcome to another episode of Anything and Everything with Donna Lisa. I'm your host, Donna Lisa, and today's special guest is Candie Beane. Hi, Candie. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Donna. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for doing this. For those of you listening in and for the viewers out there, Candie is actually a 20-year veteran in the special events industry. She's a former VP of Business Development for Host Global, and also a former general manager for PRA, correct? And they're both destination management companies in Las Vegas.
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome. So I'm going to go a little bit into how you and I met and why you're here today. Candie and I actually worked, I want to say it's been about 5 years ago, even up to the last year before the pandemic started, in special events. And Candie was a client of mine at a corporate company I worked for. So that's how we met. I kind of followed her through the years. I've seen you transition into, bigger roles. And now you're actually starting off, or you just recently started your coaching company called Everyday Dynamix.
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome. So let's go into how you actually started this company. First off, I do want everybody out there to hear from you a little bit about your background, how this all came about, and how you actually got started in this coaching industry.
Sure, absolutely. I have been, like you've mentioned, a 20-year veteran in the special events industry. I started as a sales coordinator and have worked my way all the way up to general manager. I used to like to say in my client pitches that I've pretty much held every position possible in a destination management company, from holding signs at the airport all the way to running a company. And I was fortunate enough to do that and to run some pretty incredible teams, both at PRA and at Host Global. So during that time, obviously last year or 2020, when the pandemic hit, I had survived 2 rounds of layoffs, and then it was my turn next. So my husband was also in this industry, so we were pretty deeply impacted by that. And during that time, you have a lot of time to think about, where am I going? Why did this happen? I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. There are no mistakes. So I felt like if our family had to go through this and survive it, what's our next chapter, right? Because you're just turning the page in the book. And when I reflected on what mattered most to me over those years, it really wasn't seeing the end result of the special event anymore. It was the people, and it was mentoring people, and it was pulling out those emerging leaders and growing those teams and having them work with such synergy that you just blew sales goals out of the water. And it was like, okay, that's the part that I really loved, and that's where I want to invest this next chapter. So while I love special events, and that is my life, and it has been my life, and I'm not saying I would never go back to that, but I may start to incorporate it into my future. But for right now, I feel like there's a great need for people to help rebuild teams right now, especially. And that's my passion. And I really have this strong desire to help people. And I wanted my career going forward to be more than just, a 4-hour event. I really, truly wanted it to be a lasting impact on somebody. And I think for me, when I get emails or text messages or LinkedIn messages from past employees that say things to me like, you really made a difference in my life, and thank you for believing in me, and thank you for pushing me. Like, that's what meant the most to me after all my 20 years in the industry. So that's why I decided to kind of go this route.
Nice. So you actually like the mentorship role you had with your teams.
Yes. And what was funny is I didn't realize as you climb the corporate ladder, it's less about the actual position and more about people management. And I found that I loved that, and I thrived in that, and it was something I was naturally good at. So yeah, definitely.
That's nice. And I mean, you're right. the higher your position is, you are managing people. Forgot to mention, you actually are also on the board for the International Live Events Association here in Las Vegas, right? So you also have a board underneath you that you're kind of mentoring into the next role or the next step.
Definitely. My term actually ends here on at the end of the month, and I'll become immediate past president. But I thought, of all the years to be the president of a live events association, it's the year that events shut down.
Right.
And as there's no mistakes, it was about pushing through and keeping the chapter alive and keeping the chapter viable. And that's a challenge in itself, is to keep your board motivated when they're all struggling with their own challenges, and to keep them going forward and to keep that passion, to keep the association alive, and to manage a budget that we have to make sure that this is here going forward. So what a great responsibility that was for me to have.
Well, I bet it was definitely different for you, especially during COVID, because you yourself were also going through a lot of changes in your personal life with your career, you know, having survived 2 furloughs and then eventually, you know, getting that last final word and figuring out what's the next step. So on top of being a board director or chapter president, it's a lot to go through. And so, I mean, I'm excited for you having started this business, because being that you actually are helping people find, I guess, what the best way to bring out, you know, their strong points in their personalities, whether it's work related or personally. How did you keep yourself motivated during the pandemic to eventually want to start this business?
Great question. And I think I had to give myself grace. And I will say that the one thing that I learned was it was okay to have bad days, and it was okay to have great days. And I did a lot of deep soul searching. In fact, we sold our house and we loaded up our trailer and we took a 3-week road trip.
I remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's some long drives through New Mexico and Texas where there's really nothing to see except for the sitting with the thoughts that you have. So I will tell you in full transparency that there was a point in November where I was very down. And coming out of that, and you know, when you share those feelings with other people in the industry who felt that, I wasn't alone. And I think they appreciated the honesty and the transparency,
right.
Because like I said, it was okay to have bad days. And I think when I gave myself that grace and that understanding, and I sat with my own thoughts, that's where I came up with these ideas. And that my true passion right now was people and helping others. And so where I felt like I needed to do more, you know, I wanted to help more people. And that came out of that. That downtime is this new momentum to make change, to make positive change in people's lives.
That's awesome. I did. So, and I didn't mention that I was going to bring this up, but I did follow you on Instagram and Facebook, and I followed your travels. I thought it was really cool. I was like, that's kind of neat that she's, you know, taking time out, because, you know, as well as I do, our industry, it's 24/7 before the pandemic hit us. And it gave everybody an opportunity to kind of slow down and figure out what they wanted to really do, what was, you know, the next step in their career. So I followed, you know, all your travels, and I also followed your TikTok videos, which I thought were really cute.
Thank you.
You're very creative. They kept me laughing, you know, during my down days. So thank you for that. And you're very brave to be able to do that. Because as much as, you know, people go, oh, you're comfortable speaking to people, I am, but to do those videos and post them, I don't think I have that type of creativity. So I thought that was really cute.
You know, you have to do something to make yourself laugh on those days.
Right. And I don't know if you do have this, because you have teenage daughter. Actually, your daughter's already out of high school, right?
I have one that's,
Okay.
yes, out of high school, and then one still in high school.
Gotcha. Okay. So I have kids in high school and out of high school as well. And all they do is laugh at me. Anything that we do on social media. So I'm like, you know what? The fact that you can actually do that and, you know, don't care what they think, that's awesome.
Yeah. I definitely I definitely try to use humor. It's almost a defense mechanism, but in a good way. But I love using humor. I love making people laugh, and I love using that as one of my tools to help people, you know. So it's
Right.
definitely, if you're not laughing, like, what else is there? It's like, that's, I think it's the line from Steel Magnolias, like, my favorite emotion is like tears through laughter. So I love that.
That's a great movie. Yeah.
Yes.
Great way to think about things. So with you transitioning into this new role, do you have any plans at all to incorporate it, you know, with special events? Because I know you're still kind of tied into the special event world. You have a ton of, you know, industry friends that are still working. And I think this is something that could possibly help, you know, corporate clients, you know, with their programs when they come together and have these large meetings and events.
Absolutely. I definitely plan to incorporate it into this industry. I can tell you that I feel like I almost have a head start, right? Because I already understand the dynamics of the special event industry. I understand the pressures, the stressors, the demands, the time, the work-life balance, the boundaries or lack thereof. And so if anyone could use these tools that I want to give them, it is absolutely because I understand where they're coming from. And right now, because that industry experienced such devastation, you know, we saw a lot of top professionals leave for other industries. And I'm not sure they're going to return. You know, they've gone on to real estate or technology, and they're thriving. So we have a whole new layer of professionals that are going to be up and coming in this industry. And we have to take that as an opportunity to get some fresh talent, some fresh passion, some excitement and energy back into the industry. I know that there's also the other layer where those who did survive and were able and fortunate enough to keep their job through the pandemic, they're at a point now where they're feeling burnt out, you know, and they're questioning their own loyalty to the industry because they went from doing one position to maybe 6.
I'm hearing that a lot.
Yes, I'm hearing that a lot as well. And then if you even just take a step further back than that, I think they're calling it the great resignation is happening all over all industries, where you're seeing like 40% of workers, you know, are deciding that, no, I don't want to go back into the office, or no, I don't want to go, you know, do this job anymore. People are leaving the medical field as well. Like,
Right.
there's a huge shift happening, and people are demanding, you know, that balance back. They realize that at first working virtually wasn't ideal, but then they realized that, I actually did enjoy that. And those 1 hour commutes became 1 hour of productivity, and they could shut down their computer and then have dinner with their children. So they want that back now. So this industry and the companies in it, they need to be more agile now than ever. And they need to focus on corporate culture. And that's where I come in, right? Because the tools that I have can help employees and leaders and everyone there feel heard and appreciated and valued. And so, you know, I think that at a time when they're probably too busy to provide training and it's the last thing on their mind, it should almost be the first thing, because they have brand new teams now. You know, some people did not go back to past companies, and so they're hiring new. So they're starting over, rebuilding their organizations with brand new people. And with that comes lessons in trust and communication on how to work together and creating a new synergy in that office. And so while they may not have time for it, it's in such need right now. It's like, okay, as you bring people on, let's show them where they fit in and how that works, and create that culture where everyone is feeling appreciated. And that is going to help with lowering new talent and employee retention, for sure. So yes, I am all about helping the special events industry right now.
That's actually really great that you pointed that out. I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right. I'm actually seeing, just because I was fortunate enough to go back to my corporate company after, actually right when this pandemic was starting to go away, but still we were still in it. Um, I'm seeing a lot of that. So we're seeing a lot of our clients as well saying, I'm looking for something where I can stay home again, because now
Mhm.
we have to go back into the office. And even though you can be just as productive being at home and at the office, some corporate cultures prefer you to be in the office.
Yes.
So a lot of people are like, well, I kind of liked working from home with my family, and I don't know if this is a thing for me. Then I'm hearing other people, especially from the hotel world, where they're going back and, just like you said it, they're doing 3 to 4 additional jobs on top of their job, and
Mhm.
they're starting to question because they are going through a burnout phase. They were one of maybe 6 people that were asked to come back in their
Mhm.
department. So they're picking up, where they don't have the extra help. They're having to do all that, and it's burning them out. They
Right.
have less people helping, so of course it's a lot on one person to do.
Right. And I understand that, you think that if people work remote that you lost some of those lunchroom moments, right? The quick conversations or somebody standing by your door, and there was a loss of collaboration and a loss of
Right.
communication. But there is this new demand now where people want that flexibility to at least maybe do 2 days in the office and 3 days from home, or vice versa, but they still want that option to work virtually. So it's the challenge then is, how do you create collaboration and maintain strong communication in a virtual environment? And again, that's where I can come in, but
Right.
if you have the tools and if you have the ideas, you can do that, and you can create those environments for people, and then you can still grow a team. I think what you saw also is that people who did work remotely, and maybe they weren't as impacted as the hospitality industry, but they still work remotely, these
Right.
teams, they were still productive, and companies still reach sales goals from having people work from home. So it is possible. And I think you're also seeing some of these companies that one of their biggest expenses was office space.
Right.
And if they can reduce that and allow for a flexible work environment and people to work virtually, well then yes, you actually need to invest in the tools to maintain and create collaboration and a great culture where your employees still feel heard and valued.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, we're going through that right now too. So I see a lot of people still going, can we come in half of the week and stay, work from home the rest of the week? But for where I'm at now, it's so much harder for us to collaborate. That is one of the big reasons why they asked for everybody to be back in the office. I have a house full of loud teenagers, so I prefer to be in the office. But having that flexibility, it does work out for others. And especially, not all schools went back in session in person this year. So I had to wait until all my kids were logged in classes and they were done with most of them before I actually went to the office. So there was some flexibility there. I think
Mhm.
next school year they're probably going to be all in person. So we'll probably be expected to be in the office 8:30 in the morning again, like it used to be. So yeah, but I mean I've done both sides, but I don't know. I mean, I think both of them are great. Being able to offer people the virtual option and, just work remote or being in the office. There are some people that really do work better when they're working in front of others with an office full of people as opposed to being at home working alone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's understanding everyone's different work styles and what their preferences are, and creating an environment where everyone can thrive in that. And knowing that you do prefer to be in the office, but maybe I prefer to be from home. So let's find a way to work together. And it takes extra effort, and, you
Right.
know, it takes extra reach out, but it opens up so many opportunities. It opens up opportunities to get talent outside of your market, and to have, my husband's company just hired a new CEO, and he's based in Austin, and they're headquartered in Miami. So
Oh,
you can have great talent, and if you offer this both virtual and in-person options. So if you look at it from the perspective of it's an opportunity to learn and grow, I think you can just excel. Like companies could just really blow the doors off and thrive.
Yeah, that's true. Wow, that's interesting. They have their entire companies just spread out all over the place, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Ours is similar, but we have most of our corporate folks are, headquartered where our corporate office is. But we do have others that are working remote in different, different states, and still representing different markets from where they're actually living, which is interesting too.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your services. Do you provide this for individuals as well, or is it more just companies that are reaching out, looking, to see where they can either rebuild their team, what offerings they can offer them? What are you offering everyone right now?
Sure. So I have 3 different layers of my
Okay.
services. And so I can do one-on-one coaching for individuals that want to see their career go to the next level. Maybe they're suffering from imposter syndrome, or maybe they just don't know what it takes, but they want to rise that through that corporate ladder, but maybe they don't have the confidence. And so what I would love to do is help you get in there and show you that some of those great traits that maybe you're afraid to use and afraid to be your authentic self, pull them out of you and then set you up for success. So I have full one-on-one coaching.
Okay.
And then I also have company training and facilitation. And I recently became an authorized partner for Everything DISC, which is a profile and personality assessment tool that can be incorporated both on a one-on-one level as well as in a company setting. And it helps give you an understanding of how people work, how they prefer to work, and what might be a challenge for them. Somebody who is, for example, more introverted, they may get told often that you need to put your personality out there, you need to network more, and that's just not who they are. So they can do it. No one says they can't do it, but it's pulling them out of that and showing them how to do it is really what I can do. So I can go in and I offer both just workplace, emotional intelligence training, management training. Sometimes we promote people because they're the best at that job. But then, as we said earlier, it's really about people management the higher you go. So they may not know how to manage people, but they know how to do that job. So it's that training them on how to manage, to understand their management style and how to motivate and inspire others, how to delegate. A lot of leaders have a lot of trouble delegating. And so it's teaching them that. I have a full sales training as well, where you can use the Everything DISC profile to understand, one, your selling style, and then your buyer's buying style. My style in terms of being a buyer, I will not buy anything on the first day. You can try to sell me up and down the river, and I'm going to take a day to think about it. Where there are other people who they're like, I'm in, let's go. And they're all about action, and they're all about like moving forward and getting it. Well, no, I need to process it. I want to think about it and then buy it. So to know what your buyer's buying style is helps you as a salesperson. So I have that training in my pocket as well. And it just, it's amazing to me that these tools can really give you that jump start that you need to really build a strong team. And I also became an authorized partner for the 5 behaviors, which is, it's all about team dynamics, right? And it's about pairing the Everything DISC profile with the 5 behaviors. If you've ever read that book by Peter Lucioni, it's about trust being at the foundation of every team. And without that, your team is nothing. And then it's about communication and productive conflict, and having all those tough conversations can really help excel a company. So I have some brilliant tools in my pocket and to get out there and help people and do some company trainings. But the third and other option that I have is small group workshops. So these are for like-minded individuals who want to want to grow, but maybe one-on-one isn't, they prefer a group setting, right? So I'll do a sales workshop, and companies can send their sales managers to that rather than paying for or doing a full training for their entire staff.
Those are great offerings. I like the one-on-one options, but I also like the group setting, where you're learning together as a group. I've done a few of those trainings in my past hotel life. Very, very informative. I was shocked to hear, after taking the DISC personality test, what I, ended up being. And I thought that was really weird. Now, do you have clients that sometimes when they find out their results, they're like, no, that's not me at all? And then you have to explain to them, or just after getting to know them, you're like, yeah, no, that is you.
Yes. For the most part, people actually say, wow, this is pretty spot on. Like this is, but there are some that say, that doesn't really sound like me. And so what I do is I ask them to ask your peers, ask your coworkers, ask your family members, does this sound like me? And 9 times out of 10, they're going to say, yes, that's actually you. And then they think, oh, and that's that aha moment, right? Where it starts with that self awareness. And you're like, oh, this is really who I am. This is really where I sit. But once you see that, you can step back and see like, okay, to push myself out of my comfort zone, this is what I need to do. Or I actually need to embrace this and, be my more authentic self. And that's when that growth happens. And when you see it click in people, that's my payment right there. Like that is the best.
And how long are your programs? Do people have to see you for a few weeks, a few months, or as long as they want to continue?
I generally for my one-on-ones, I generally like to start with a 3-month program.
Okay.
I think that's where we can really get in and start to make a difference and start to see a change. But then it's up to them if they would like to extend. My company trainings are typically half day up to full day options. Or what I've seen the requests come through recently is that we don't have time to stop for a full day and train. So I do actually offer virtual platforms where I can break the modules up into 1-hour training sessions per week, which they're finding is very helpful. So they can give you 1 hour of training per week. Then it would last more like between 5 and 6 weeks.
Well, those are great offerings because you're right. A lot of people, I'm seeing it right now. A lot of people are having a hard time giving up an extra hour of their time just for training because they're so busy doing like 5 different jobs. So that's awesome that you offer that. Now, I do have another question. So with anybody, now you started this during the pandemic. It's probably the hardest time for anyone to want to start a business and get into something new. For anyone out there who is thinking about starting a business, like what kind of advice would you offer them now that we're coming out of this pandemic?
I would say that, one, have a morning routine and stick to it. I incorporate my affirmations and my 10 minutes of meditation minimum each day, and it just kind of sets the tone. Because when you are starting your own business, there's a lot of challenges that you're going to face on a daily basis. And there's going to be, you don't know what you don't know, right? So as you take this, it can become very overwhelming at times that everything seems like a challenge. And you have to trust your instincts. You have to have faith over fear. I say that all the time. I say that almost daily. You have to believe in yourself. It's probably like 80%, 90% mindset, 10% action. And then small steps. Small steps are key. And if for some reason you allow yourself to get overwhelmed, just tell yourself, I need to do one thing today, one thing to move the business forward. And there were days that I did that. And it was, okay, well, what's the one thing I'm going to do? I built a website. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea how to build a website. Like what? I had to, you had to go on the Secretary of State and open up your business. I did it wrong. That's fun $175 mistake I get to make. But you know what? It's okay because I learned from it. And you're going to make those mistakes. Don't beat yourself up. Just embrace it and keep moving forward every day. One small thing towards your business and you will get there. You'll be surprised how far.
That's a great piece of advice, just because, and I know you kind of have followed me through this pandemic and my new venture and this podcast. And of course, you know, it's a hobby, is what I tell people. It's my passion. I love meeting people. I love hearing everyone's story, you know, which is why, you know, I was interested in getting to know you when we were working in special events, because I saw you continue to grow your career. And just like you, I started off as a coordinator and kind of worked my way up to the positions I had. But recently, I want to say in the last month, I've been kind of having like moments where I'm like, oh God, I have to do another social media post for this and just stay consistent. Because, you know, consistency is key. And everyone's on Instagram, everyone's on social media. I handle a few different accounts, and I'm starting to handle our social media for the corporate company I work for now. And so I had to, if you followed my podcast feed, I had to slow down it from the weekly posts, from 4 days a week to maybe 2 days a week, you know. And now I'm like, oh God, I'm feeling like I'm so behind because my full-time job doesn't allow me to have any extra time. And I'm tired of staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning trying to get these things edited and stuff. So I've had to be okay with doing maybe 1 post a week or 2 posts a week and not beat myself up over it. So thanks for bringing that up, because I was just, today I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to get caught up on this stuff. And you're right. I think having a morning routine is great. I do that all the time. I listen to, you know, some motivational speakers while I'm getting ready. So it helps keep you motivated. Speaking of affirmations, is there a daily affirmation or a quote that you like to start your day off with?
It's 2 things. It's faith over fear. I have had to really look back on every time I was faced with a significant challenge in my life, be it personal or professional. It was always for my better self. It was always for the greater good. And so I have to have faith that whatever happens is serving its purpose as a lesson or a growth moment. So faith over fear gets me through almost on a regular basis. And then the second one is that I have the power within. And
I like that.
It is, we all have the power to do whatever we want, to live our dream and to make those dreams happen. And I have the power within to do that. And so that's another thing that I repeat to myself almost regularly throughout the day. It helps with confidence,
Right?
And it helps with mindset. But those are really what have pushed me through.
Nice. Well, I like those two. I got to remember that. And thanks for the reminder. I was just, before I got on this podcast with you, I was just thinking, okay, I've got so much to catch up on. Where am I going to start? So it's funny because people will look at my social media and go, well, you seem like you have it all together. You can do 20 things at one time. And I'm like, you really don't know what it's like when I wake up on a Sunday and start my planning for the week. It's crazy. So yes, thanks for reminding me that it's okay.
It is okay.
Okay.
And I think too, like, those in the hospitality industry went through a reprioritization of their life over this past, 18 months. And we are following our true purpose, and we are listening to that calling. And one of my most favorite things that I've seen is friends in the industry that, yes, were unfortunately furloughed, but then went back to their passion. You and your podcast is one example. We both have a mutual friend as well that she let her inner artist come through, and now she's selling art at art shows. And I think that's beautiful. And to see, others are actually like, they left and they're investing time in their family, or they're following their heart and moving to another state. And it's beautiful, because I think there was that hustle and bustle and that constant on the go 24/7 industry. And that the pandemic made us hit pause, and it made us think, is this what I want? And for many, the answer was still yes. And they're excited and they're ready to go back. But for some of us, it was, well, maybe not. Like, maybe there's something. Mm-hmm. So my advice to you is, if the podcast is something that's near and dear to your heart, then it's absolutely okay to let something else go away to make room and space for what you want and what's in your heart.
And you know what's funny? I actually asked myself that and kind of mentally told myself that last week. I was like, okay, there's got to be something else I can kind of step back from that's a side hustle. Because, you know, I have a few, and I came to terms with the fact that I was going to slow down on another one. So I'm like, okay, because I do like, I love the podcast and just listening to everyone's story. That's what gets me going. Just hearing how everybody got from, you know, got started off and like to see where you're at today. I love hearing how everybody, you know, just came up with this idea and just decided to, you know, start this business and doing so well. So, and with you, I mean, I know you've won numerous awards in your career for special events, and for you to decide, you know what, do I really want to go back to that, even though you're just this award-winning, you know, industry leader, or do I want to do something else? And it's nice to see that you transitioned into something else that kind of it's what you're passionate about. You love to help people, and I've seen you mentor people, you know, at your office. So I'm excited for you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's definitely a change. You know, when you do kind of the same thing for 20 years and now you do a shift, you're relearning a lot of things. You're relearning, like before I was selling corporate events, and now I'm selling coaching services, and I'm essentially selling myself. What a shift in that, you know. It's just a different dialogue, and you have to be okay with making mistakes. When you're trying something new, you have to be okay with making mistakes. And that is what teaches you. That is how you grow. That is how you become that better person, that best version of yourself, is by making mistakes. And for some reason, we all get wrapped up, especially in the event industry, in perfection, right? The event has to be perfect. But we also know that there is no such thing as a perfect event. It doesn't exist. There's always something minor that is going to be a glitch.
Right.
And it was how we reacted to that. And the same can be said if you're trying something new. You know, there's no such thing as perfection. Get that out of your head. You know, just move forward. Make your mistake, move on, learn. So.
Absolutely. Well, I like that advice. I'm pretty sure a lot of my listeners will definitely be able to apply that into their daily lives. And some of them may rethink their position now, you know, if they are working in our events industry and might want to do something else. As I've heard, since we started to reopen, folks that have been working for the last 3, 4, 5 months are starting to say, hey, I don't know how long more I can do this in this industry. Yeah. This is just, they're definitely going through a burnout phase. I love special events just like you. I love the clients that we meet. It's just a different time. There's definitely putting an event together now, you know, compared to pre-COVID days is definitely a little bit more challenging because of the guidelines and, you know, making sure that everyone's feeling comfortable. So I think the challenges that people are facing right now, they're just starting to rethink things and like, do I really want to do this, or do I really want to go back into what I was doing when we were shut down? So
right. And I think they're also seeing that the skills that the event industry has taught all of us translate into other industries. You know, it's problem solving, people management, relationship building. Absolutely. All of these, you know, help us succeed and almost overachieve when we end up in another industry, because we're always saying yes in a matter of, well, maybe this won't work, but yes, we can find a solution. Like, we're always solution driven.
Right.
And other industries are like, no, we can't do it, moving on. And you're like, yes, we can. we're the yes, we can industry. And so some of the, you know, our talent may be leaving, and they may decide that, yes, this is my new path. And some may say, you know what, real estate's not for me anymore.
Right.
And they'll come back. But only time will tell. But I think what truly came out of it was following your heart.
Yeah.
And if you're asking yourself, do I want to stay in the industry? I would say don't give up on it immediately, but maybe ask yourself, is there another area within the industry that I may enjoy more, right? Because I don't want everybody leaving
Right.
hospitality because we have so great talent here. So I would say if you're currently with a DMC, maybe have you considered working for a venue or a hotel or a partner in that matter? And so maybe just mix it up, try something new rather than leaving completely.
Right.
You know, that's what I did. But
Well,
but
you're still connected with a lot of the industry, and your services could definitely be used, for some of the industry clients that we work with. So I don't think you're gone completely, but I
yeah,
think
I
you can
don't think they're going
definitely.
to let me go
Yeah.
completely.
It's hard to. It's hard to because you're so involved as well. Being on a board is definitely impactful on a lot of people's lives, and I know you like to help a lot of people. So I think you're going to be around for a little longer than you expect. But I think your services could definitely be used in our industry for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, maybe in the future, if I could incorporate my skills from both my past and my future and create those really cool, leadership retreats and some really unique
Right.
destinations, like that would be kind of a cool path
Yeah.
to take.
Is
So
that something you plan on doing as far as like growing your business in the future?
it's definitely it's on the radar.
Okay.
So yeah, right now I'm trying to see through the next 12 months, and it's
Okay.
about visibility and
Yeah.
making sure, like you mentioned earlier, the four posts a month, or four posts
Right.
a week rather. It does tend to get a little much. It's like, is there this much content in my head?
Right.
But I have to find it.
I mean, we're creative people, but sometimes you're just like, oh God, another social media post. What am I going to say this time?
Right. And sometimes, you're just creatively tapped out and you
Yeah.
have to go take a walk outside, take your dog for a walk, or go get a massage, have a self-care day, because that's
Right.
really where the inspiration happens again. And if you're constantly at your computer doing something, well, that's going to
Yeah.
lead to more burnout. So,
That's true. That's so true. And right now is a good time. I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of people to experiment and see what they're really passionate about. Back in the day, it was kind of frowned upon when you had different side hustles, but I think right now is the perfect time for that. A lot of people are just excited to see everyone doing different things, and
yes.
wanting to learn from it. So yeah, and I've seen a lot of collaboration online with a lot of people just getting started in something new. They've been collaborating with new people or even people in the industry that have been in it for years. So it's nice to see that collaboration.
Absolutely. It made us pick our head up from the computer and
Yeah.
look around and realize, like, oh, we actually have this in common and maybe we could work on this. That actually happened with a friend of mine. We started to talk more during the
Mhm.
pandemic, and now we're talking about future collaborations together.
Nice.
And we're both excited about it, and we've been that support because she shifted her career as well. And so some days it feels lonely. You feel like, am I doing this right? Or am I like, where am I at? And it's great to have that sounding board for somebody else who's also doing a shift in their career and to have
Right.
that support. But I've made new friendships during this because I was able to hit pause. And so there really was some great things that came out of the pandemic, and new relationships, new friendships, new ideas, a new excitement, following your own passion, following your heart. Like, what
Right.
amazing things to happen at a time when all seemed lost and dark and sad. I
Right.
cried a lot too. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna lie.
It's
But through
okay.
that, yeah, but through that, we all came through it, and it's
Mhm.
really great to see everyone coming out of it on the other side. I'm really
Right.
happy for everyone in our industry.
And you're right. I think because we hit pause, I definitely had a lot more time on social media, and I was like, oh, this is a neat idea, or this is great. This is something I need to try. So it definitely gave me an opportunity to see what other people were doing, and then reaching out to them on social media, and doing the collaboration, which is great. So awesome. So for people who want to reach out to you, how can they get a hold of you? Do you have a website, and what social media sites are you on?
Absolutely. My website is Everyday Dynamix, and it's Dynamics with an X. because I'm a Gen Xer and I thought it'd be fun.
That's cute.
Everydaydynamix.com is my website, and there's links to explain more of my tools and my philosophy behind my coaching and behind my training. You can also set up a discovery call through my website and we can chat one-on-one. And then I also have an Everyday Dynamix Facebook page and an Everyday Dynamix LinkedIn page that I encourage everyone to follow for updates.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time out, Candie, and sharing your story and your new venture. I'm really excited for you. I think you're going to do really well. I'm excited to see you continue to grow and add to your services as well. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's Father's Day. I know you've got to go celebrate your husband, so I'm going to let you go. I do appreciate you taking time out again and connecting with me, actually. So thank you so much for reaching out. It's nice to reconnect and get you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been amazing, and I'm so proud of you for following what you really wanted to do. So thank you for having this platform.
Thanks so much. I definitely am looking to promote you. And I love the photos that you sent over. So looking forward to seeing that on social media. All right, Candie. Well, you have a good day, and we'll definitely stay in touch, okay?
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Donna.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.